Hello, all. Welcome to Little Officers. As prelims is approaching, looking at the previous year questions is very important so that we can learn from the themes and also we can know the approach of UPSC. In this particular video, we are going to look at the previous year questions from the subject geography. So we will be covering from 2013 to 2023, and this is because it is a new pattern, so we will be looking at all the questions that were asked from 2013 onwards. If you look at, I have done small analysis here. This might vary from person to person. This is what I have done. So if you look at the questions from geography year wise, in 2013 highest number 19 questions were asked, then they were continuously reduced, and in 16 only 3 questions came because much of the portion came from here, current affairs and schemes, government schemes, etc. Then after that, the questions were in the range of 7 to 8, almost stagnated till 2022, before asking again highest number like 18 questions. And if you look at subject geography, within the geography, if you look at the section wise, see the sections are like solar system, geological time scales, geomorphology, Indian geography, mapping, etc. You can have the segregation like this. Like there were 3 questions from solar systems and geological time scales, geomorphology 11 questions, and climatology. And here also, if you look at these two topics like Indian geography and map based questions, they were more in weightage. So in this particular session, which is part 1 of this series, we'll be looking at questions from the first 3 sections, which will be roughly around 30 questions. So we'll be able to solve them in around 30 minutes or so. So here our main goal is to do the additional learning and like look at the approach of framing of the question by the UPSC, where they look at the minute details and what we need to focus based on them. Okay, so with that little bit of background, let us enter into the questions. The very first question is, in the northern hemisphere, longest day of the year normally occurs in the, see on this longest day are the concept of summer solstice and winter solstice. Okay, equinox. See, these are the concepts generally we come across when we look at the apparent movement of the sun or actual movement of the earth, solstice, right? So here these are the 3 concepts that we learn: summer solstice, winter solstice, and equinox. So we have how many equinoxes? We have 2 equinoxes. Like it is on the time when sun is exactly on the equator, and we are going to have equal duration of day and night throughout the globe. And summer solstice is when the sun is on Tropic of Cancer, that is in the northern hemisphere. Then winter solstice is when the sun is in the southern hemisphere, that is Tropic of Capricorn. So on these questions have been continuously asked. So when they are asking about longest day, of course it is with respect to the northern hemisphere. When does this occur? On the summer solstice. So when do we have summer solstice? On 21st June. And this is the day we also celebrate it as International Yoga Day. Right, from 2016 onwards we are celebrating it, and UNGA has accepted this as the International Day of Yoga. Now on the basis of it, what is the position of the sun? This is what we need to look at it. So when does this normally occur? When does this occur? First half of the month of the June. It is wrong because 21st comes in the second half of the month of the June. So B is the correct answer. Now if you look at the third option, first half of the month of July. So there is no significant event happening in the July. See, all we come across are equinoxes in the month of March and September. Then winter solstice in the month of December and summer solstice in the month of June. So itself, July itself, you can you can say eliminate it there, and remaining to just use your brain and the fact that 21st June is the summer solstice, you can solve it. So the correct answer for this is B. Right. Apart from that, we also looked at the concepts of equinox, summer solstice. See, on summer solstice, we will have the longest day, that is 14 hours roughly, and shortest night, that is 10 hours. And on the winter solstice, exactly opposite happens. We will be having the shortest day of 10 hours duration and longest night of 14 hours duration, right? Now, moving on to the second one. Second one is also based on the same concept, that is 21st June, summer solstice, but it has been framed in a different manner. So on 21st June, the sun. So what is the position of the sun? Just now here we have seen summer solstice. That means sun is in the northern hemisphere, vertically shining above Tropic of Cancer. So at this time, the circle of illumination is like this, and sun is always like it is never shutting or never going below the horizon in the northern hemisphere. So that's the reason why sometimes we call it as land of the midnight sun also, right? You might have seen it in social media reels where some of the locations in Iceland and some other locations, they show it even during the night time also, they have sun. This happens during summer solstice, okay, or during that transition period. So 21st June, what happens? Sun does not set below horizon at the Arctic Circle. This is true because we are looking at the northern hemisphere. Arctic Circle is at the northern hemisphere. Does not set below horizon at the Antarctic Circle. This is wrong, right? This happens when we are at the winter solstice. Okay. Then shines vertically overhead at noon on the equator. See, this happens generally during the equinoxes. See, our main aim is not just to solve, but also learn. That's the reason why we are looking at all the options and trying to learn. Shines vertically overhead at the Tropic of Capricorn. Capricorn, this is the condition when it is vertically shining overhead of the Capricorn. This is nothing but winter solstice. So the correct answer in the option is A. All right. Now moving on to the next one. Variations in the length of daytime and nighttime from season to seasons are due to, what is the reason behind it? First, rotation of the earth on its axis. See, when the earth rotates, this leads to formation of day and night. There is circle of illumination. Whatever that is in the facing sun, we will be having day, and the places which are not facing sun, we will have night. This happens because of rotation of the earth. Then earth's revolution around the sun in elliptical manner. Okay. We can keep it aside because there are two kinds of motions. One is rotation, another one is revolution. Then latitudinal position of the place. See, latitudinal position of the place can lead to variations in the insulation, that is amount of energy that is received by the earth from the sun, but it does not lead to duration of the daytime and nighttime. Then revolution of the earth on the tilted axis. See, now you can understand why I asked you to keep B aside. We have related to revolution, we have two options. One is talking about elliptical manner. See, when the earth is revolving around the sun in elliptical manner, what is the best possibility, or what are the things that happens? See, sun is here and the earth is rotating here. So due to this elliptical revolution, we will be having a situation, because this is not a perfect ellipse. This is in the shape of an egg. Okay. So as a result of it, at sometimes earth will be nearer to the sun in the revolution, and sometimes earth will be farther from the sun. When it is nearer, we'll be getting perihelion. When it is farther, we'll be getting aphelion. So as a result of it, there will be difference in the insulation, but not in the duration of the day and the night. But even this difference in the insulation is also not going to affect much, because there will be no heat budget. There will be distribution of this insulation, latitudinal heat balance that we study it. So this option also, like the B, earth revolving around the sun in elliptical manner does not lead to changes in the daytime and nighttime durations. So, what is the right answer? The right answer is a revolution of the Earth on tilted axis. It is because of the tilt. Sometimes the northern hemisphere is facing the sun, and sometimes southern hemisphere is facing the sun. This leads to apparent movement of the sun. Apparent movement of the sun. And this is the reason why we get summer solstice and winter solstice. We have just seen it. So on this basis, we can come to that conclusion. It is because of the tilted axis of the earth, and earth is rotating and revolving around the sun with this tilted axis. That is the one which is causing these changes in the duration of the daytime and nighttime, and it also causes seasonal variations, season to season, right? So answer is D here. Next, consider the following statements. See, in a seismograph, which is an instrument to measure seismic waves or earthquake waves, P waves are recorded earlier than the S wave. See, absolutely true, because from the name itself, P waves means primary waves. They are the first to arrive. It is basic information given in NCERTs also. Nobody is going to make it wrong, right? And S waves are secondary waves. They will be coming in the seismograph after a time lag. After some time, you will be having S waves. Now, both S waves and P waves, both of them are body type of waves. So when these body waves reach to the surface, they become surface waves. Okay. Now, second statement. In P waves, the individual particles vibrate to and fro in the direction of the wave propagation. That means if the propagation is in this direction, then the movement of the particles is also in this to and fro manner. Okay, these kind of movements are called like compressional movements, and these kind of waves generally we call them as longitudinal waves. Okay, and P waves are longitudinal waves because they move in compressions and rare fractions. Whereas S waves, they generally vibrate perpendicular to the propagation of the wave. Suppose the wave is propagating like this, or S waves ka jo movements hai, it will be like the particle movement will be up and down. Okay, so as a result of it, what we get is this kind of movements. So we will be having ups and downs, or we can call it as crust and trough. Okay, here compression and rarefaction, and here crust and trough. These kind of waves we generally call them as transverse waves. Okay, so and S waves are of transverse waves, and P waves are of your longitudinal waves. So based on this, second statement is also following the same. That's the reason why both of them are right. The correct answer is going to be both 1 and 2. You can have a look at them. Here better image is there. So in P waves there will be compressions and rare fractions will be there. This is where energy will be transferred in the direction of the propagation. Whereas in case of S waves, you can see there is crusts and troughs. Now moving on to the next one. Black cotton soils of India has been formed due to weathering off. See, black cotton soils are one of the favorite ones because they have a lot of commercial value. Even agriculture wise also they are good. They have special properties like self-aeration, self-plowing, and the composition, the color, their extent, all of them are important. They have been asked. Now, how they are formed? See, there are two types of formations. One is weathering, and this weathering is from the lava. That is, if there is a lava rock or igneous rock is there, and if the igneous rock gets weathered, it could lead to formation of the black soils, which is the case in case of Indian black soils in the Deccan Traps. Okay, so there were Deccan Traps earlier. These are volcanic depositions which got weathered. Later, it got formed to black soils. This is one way of forming. Another way of forming is climate-induced one. So when the climate is conducive, then Even weathering of normal rock can also lead to black soils. The best example for this is in Tamil Nadu region also, we come across black soils, particularly in the region of Neyveli and other locations. Neyveli is also famous for lignite kind of coal. Okay, so here the reason why we have black soils is not because of the parent material, rather it is because of the climate of Tamil Nadu there. So these are the two varieties. But now let us look at the question here. So it is formed due to weathering of what? Let's say brown forest soil, obviously not. Tissue or volcanic rock. Yes, volcanic rocks could lead to formation of the black soils. Granite and schist. See, granite could be, but not the schist. Okay. Granite is a igneous one. It could lead to, but not the schist. Shale and limestone, both of them are sedimentary. Like we can remove them here. So the correct answer is going to be B. Next, consider the following minerals. It was asked in 2020: bentonite, chromite, kyanite, and sillimanite. See, these kind of mineral-based questions they're asking. You could keep it in economic geography also, like resources distribution and all. There is no harm in keeping it here as well. First, say bentonite. See, bentonite is the minor mineral. It was declared in 2015. It was there in those times. Current affairs also. There was an amendment to the act. Then chromite. See, chromite, as the name suggests, it is source of chromium. Chromium, and it is a major mineral. Similarly, kyanite and sillimanite, both of them are like good source of aluminum, but not the ores. They are silicates of aluminum. Silicates of aluminum. Kyanite, you can see kyanite in bluish color. Generally, blue stones, which are of low quality, can be made out of this kyanite. So, kyanite, chromite, and sillimanite, all of them are major minerals, whereas bentonite is a minor mineral. So, the correct answer is going to be D here. Now, you can look at the extra information. For example, kyanite. See, it is a blue aluminosilicate mineral. This is how you look. This is how it looks. Chromite is main source of metal chromium, as we have discussed, and sillimanite is also a aluminosilicate mineral. Okay. Next, with reference to management of minor minerals, once again the question is based on the major and minor minerals in India. Consider the following statements. It was asked in 2019. Sand is a minor mineral according to the prevailing law in the country. Then, state governments have the power to grant mining leases of minor minerals. See, till here it is true. State governments have that power, but the powers regarding the formation of the rules related to the grant of minor minerals lies with the central government. See, if you use little bit of common sense and logic, if the state government has the power to grant leases for the mining, obviously the manner in which the mining can be done, like the execution portion, which is related to the rules and regulations of it. So that must also be within the hands of the state government so that it can better execute. So even if we use that logic, we can say the second part of the statement where it is saying that the powers regarding formation of the rules, okay, it is in the central government goes wrong. See, even you can use this logic whenever we have something on the concurrent list, though the lawmaking power is with both of them, state government and parliament also. But when it comes to execution power goes to exclusively to the state governments. And it is in the execution portion wherever a law is made. If we wanted to execute it, you need to have the bylaws or rules and regulations related to it. So these rules and regulations are part of that executive. Okay, so even if you apply that logic, then also you can come to this conclusion that 2 is wrong. Now the third is the state government have the power to frame rules to prevent illegal mining of. See, here itself, again it is talking about the rules. Second and third, both of them are clearly contradictory also. Okay, so on that basis also you can say 3 is right if 2 is wrong. Obviously 1 is a minor mineral, so the correct answer for this is going to be 1 and 3 only. Next, which of the following phenomena might have influenced the evolution of organisms? So it was asked in 2014. Continental drift, it is true, because the drifting of the continents that could have led to, you can say, geographical isolation. Geographical isolation is also one of the reasons behind evolution, because if you look at the theories of Darwin, who himself have done expeditions to Galapagos, such remote islands. There he has seen the diversity and the special adaptations taken by them and speciation that has happened. On the basis of it, has given that origin of species theory as well. So when continental drift is happening, it could lead to geographical isolations, or it could lead to other effects like founder effect, bottleneck effect, etc. That could lead to evolution of the organisms. Then glacial cycles, like glacial interglacial cycles where there is a snow age and then fluvial period. So when these are happening recurringly, it could lead to changes in the weather patterns and the climate there, and as a result of it, as the organism is continuously exposed to these environmental pressures. So this is one of the postulates of Lamarck. Lamarck says there is a constant environmental pressure, and in order to cope with that environmental pressures, organisms do take adaptations and the changes that could lead to evolution of the organism. So on these inferences we can make, both of them are going to be have influenced. Say, even they're asking influenced, so either directly or indirectly, if anything is there, you can directly go with this. So the answer is going to be both 1 and 2. Now, moving on to the next one. In India, the problem of soil erosion is associated with which of the following? See, terrace cultivation, it is a type of cultivation which is done on the hill terraces in order to reduce or check erosion. Say, here we can have contour bunding, contour plowing, or even the terraces can be made step by step. And there you might have seen it in some movies, or if you have visited any locations like Kerala, Northeast, Darjeeling, these locations, you can see the hill slopes. They have made terraces, like creating the bunds, and they are cultivating it here. See, Eastern Ghats also. So this is a way of checking the soil erosion. Okay, and deforestation, of course, deforestation leads to lack of vegetation, which is providing the anchor to the soil. So when there is a deforestation, it could lead to soil erosion, because now there is no proper anchor by the vegetation to hold the soil. So as a result, soil can wash away. Then tropical climate. Now clearly you can remove, see, tropical climate also, we can come to the tropical climate in a moment, but clearly you can remove the terrace cultivation, because it is going to be useful in checking the soil erosion. Here I have provided the image, you can see. So these kind of contours will be made. Now when the water is coming down the slope, at each of this terrace, it is going to be like settled, and its force is going to be reduced. That will reduce the soil erosion. Now tropical climate, since here there is a good amount of vegetation, so though there is a good rainfall, but there is also a good amount of vegetation, so we cannot directly say that tropical climate is going to be associated with erosion. It depends on how the anthropogenic activity or the natural activities are happening in the tropical climate, which will lead to soil erosion. So the climate itself does not lead to soil erosion. So on this basis, you can remove this. Okay, so the only thing which is associated with soil erosion is going to be deforestation. Okay, but had they been given, let's say, equatorial climate, then probably you could select equatorial climate. But again, here the question comes to whether deforestation has happened in the equatorial forests or not, because equatorial regions we have lot of rainfall, torrential rainfall will be there, but at the same time it also has lot of vegetation, green cover is there, tropical evergreen forest. So if those forests are cut down, then it could lead to a lot of erosion, right? And even rain patterns can also change. Next, which of the following statements regarding laterite soils are correct? This you can keep it in Indian geography also. So they are generally red in color. This is true because there is a leaching and then presence of iron could give them a red color. They are rich in nitrogen and potash. See, generally the soils, laterite soils, black soils, they are all poor in nitrogen. They are well developed in Rajasthan and UP. See, Rajasthan definitely not, because generally laterite soils develop in those regions where there is a heavy rainfall, and as a result of this rainfall, intense leaching is happening. So these kind of things generally where we look at the Western Ghats, slopes of Western Ghats, okay, some of the Eastern Ghats as well, and some locations in Northeastern, okay, the Assam Plains, etc. So these are the locations where we can come across laterite soils, not the Rajasthan, okay. And UP is well known for alluvial soils. Even if you can use that logic, also you can remove it. So we can remove three. And tapioca and cashew nuts grow well in these soils. See, laterite soils are known for plantations, particularly plantation of cashew nuts. Is even if you look at the Eastern Ghats or Western Ghats slopes, a lot of cashew nut plantations are there, and they are very good. Laterite soils are very good for plantation crops. So probably this fourth statement is right because of it. Now, how many statements are going to be right? We have removed second statement and also the third statement. First is right and four is right. So two statements are right. So you can come across the option C. Okay. Now moving on to the next question. Consider the following statements. Natural gas occurs in Gondwana beds. See, Gondwana coal, generally we do not have the natural gas. Natural gas generally occurs in the sedimentary rocks, sedimentary rock beds. So that's the reason why you can say one is wrong. Mica occurs in abundance in Kodarma. This is a location in Odisha. These kind of things you need to understand and you need to remember those fact. It is a fact based one. And mica is a fibrous material which is having good dielectric strength. So it is generally used in electrical industry and even fireproof clothes. Okay, clothes or capacitors, as its dielectric strength is good. So these are all some of the applications of mica. And Dharwar are famous for petroleum. See, Dharwars are locations in Karnataka. Karnataka. Dharwar rock, you can find it here. And it is not famous for petroleum. It is famous for rather metals like iron, this kind of metals you can find there. So 3 is also wrong. Petroleum generally where we do get it in India, in the regions of Mumbai, Navi Mumbai, okay, and even in the Assam regions. So these are the locations where we come across petroleum, not in the Dharwars of Karnataka. So on this basis, the answer is going to be B only. Okay, so this is mica. You can see it has fibrous, sheets. Then consider the following: electromagnetic radiation, geothermal energy, gravitational force, plate movements, rotation of the earth, revolution of the earth. So which of the above are responsible for dynamic changes? I'm not looking particularly at the option to eliminate it because that elimination kind of thing is gone from 2023. So let us try to reason and come to the conclusion how many of them are right. First, let us look at those which are very much sure to us. Plate tectonic or plate movements are surely going to bring the changes. Okay, they are endogenic. And gravitational forces also, because it could lead to landslides, okay, and movements of the masses on the earth. Okay, then geothermal energy is also right, because whenever energy from the deep earth is coming, that could lead to some changes and movements, okay, within the interior of the earth, even outside also. So it is a dynamic one. And electromagnetic radiation can also be one of the reasons behind it, this is nothing but your solar insolation. Okay, so when there is a solar insolation, what happens, it could lead to like intense heating, and then cooling, that could lead to exfoliation. So these are all different types of weatherings, which you can say uh, mechanical weathering or physical weathering. So that could happen, that could also lead to changes, since they are not saying whether it is outside the earth or inside the earth. So simply we are looking at the change, so this is also right. Then rotation of the earth and revolution of the earth. For example, rotation of the earth, what happens because of rotation of the earth? Day and night happens. Now we must have no, you must have studied this in the weathering. No, this frost wedging or freezing and thawing. Okay, so when days and nights are there, when the temperature variations are diurnal temperature variations are more, that could also lead to expansions and contractions in the different minerals of the rocks, that could lead to weathering. Okay, one of the best examples is frost wedging. Okay, do read about it if you have not read. Frost wedging, this could lead to widening up of the cracks, and that could lead to weathering of the rocks. Then revolution of the earth. So what happens because of the revolution? Mainly seasons come. Now, due to seasonal variations also, like let's say there is a rainfall. Because of the rainfall, it could lead to landslide, it could lead to, let's say, erosion. That is also a dynamic change. It could lead to a rill formation or a gully formation. Similarly, if there is a summer season, as I told you, it could lead to weathering. It is a winter season, again, frost wedging could happen. So all of them could cause dynamics changes. So had the question been asked particularly endogenic changes or exogenic changes, then we should have been very much conscious. So if we talk about endogenic, only 2, 3, 4 are endogenic in origin. And if we talk about exogenic, like 1, 5, 6 will be exogenic. But altogether, they can make changes. So the correct answer is going to be all 6 of them. Okay. Now moving on to the next one. Contour bunding is a method of soil conservation used in, obviously, in terrace locations. Okay, so just now we have covered it elaborately. So let's look at them. Desert margins liable to strong winds. See, in the desert margins where there are strong winds, we use generally shelter belts. In the coastal areas and desert areas, if you have read about green, there is this green belt or green wall. I do not remember this name. This is being successfully implemented in Africa in reducing the expansion of the Sahara Desert, and the same India wants to replicate in case of Indian desert, Thar deserts. So along the lines of Aravalis, they wanted to plant trees like a green wall or a green belt, which is going to reduce the soil erosion from the desert and also to spread the desert. Okay, so these kind of methods are generally used in the desert margins and coastal locations, etc. So obviously this is not uh, proper for, no, this is not the proper location for contour bunding. Then low flat plains close to stream courses liable to flooding. Okay, then the third one is, see, this is also low flat is not going to be contour bunding method, because flat plains doesn't have that slope where you need to do the contour plowing or contour blending. So you can remove this. Shrublands and liable to spread of weed growth. See, here also contour bunding is not used. So what is the location where we use contour bunding? Just now we have covered it. It is mainly used in the terrace locations where there is a slope. Okay, you can have a look at the image also. So this is where it can reduce the flow of the water because of the slope, and that will reduce the erosion. Okay, so the correct answer is going to be D. Which of the following add nitrogen to the soil? Okay, if you look at the nitrogen cycle, you can easily solve it. You can link it with the environment also. Excretion of the urea by animals. This is true because in the urea we have ammonia, okay, NH3. Okay, then later it can turn, it can lead to formation of the nitrogen. Okay, then burning of the coal by man. See, burning of the coal, some people might say this could be true, but this is not, because burning of the coal by man could lead to releasing of the sulfur dioxide. Sulfur oxides can be released by the burning of coal, and carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, etc., but not nitrogen. Okay, so that's why 2 is wrong. Death of vegetation, of course, when there is a death of vegetation, when it is decomposed, once again, whatever the protein compounds, nitrogen compounds which are there in the body of this, they can degrade and go back to nitrogen cycle. Okay, so 1 and 3 are correct answers for these two statements. Then, with reference to Earth's atmosphere, which of the following statements is correct? The total amount of insolation received at the equator is roughly about 10 times that of the received at poles. See, this kind of factual information we will not be sure, because it may not be 10 times, or it may be 10 times. We are not exactly sure until unless you get that accurate figure. So don't go with the statement immediately to conclude whether it is right or wrong. See, generally, if you look at the latitudinal heat balance, whatever the surplus that we get at the equator is roughly 2 to 3 times more than what we get it at the poles. Then it will be taken by the oceanic currents and winds, which will compensate it. Okay. Then B, infrared rays constitute roughly 2/3 of the insolation. Once again, see, infrared rays, they are more in quantity if you look at the electromagnetic spectrum, but how much percentage, how much portion, it is not exactly sure, not exactly 2/3 of the insolation. Then infrared waves are largely absorbed by the water vapor that is concentrated in the lower atmosphere. This is true, and this is one of the reasons why we have global warming also. These infrared waves, when they are going back, it will be trapped by the water vapor. Water vapor is also a greenhouse gas. Okay, so this statement is true. And infrared waves are part of visible spectrum. No, they are not part of visible spectrum. They are part of the electromagnetic spectrum. If you look at the electromagnetic spectrum, we have 7 wavelengths. Okay, ranging from gamma rays. Gamma rays, also known as cosmic rays, they are the they have smallest wavelengths and highest energy, and they can penetrate to any metals also. They have such super energy. Then followed by them are X-rays. Okay, again categories are there in the X-rays. And these X-rays also have good amount of energy. They can penetrate to our body also. That's the reason why we use them in taking X-rays in medical applications. Okay. Then comes your ultraviolet rays. Now after ultraviolet rays is your visible light. Now visible light is the one which we can see. Okay, so that's the reason why we say this as visible light, and it has 7 colors. What are those 7 colors? Violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, VG, or orange and red. So these are the 7 colors, and wavelength increases as we go from violet to red. So violet has the lowest wavelength, red has the highest wavelength. So that's the reason why in many of the signals and warning areas we use the red color, because it has the high wavelength. So it's it's diffraction, that its relative position is not going to be too much deviated. It can accurately show the position of it. That's the reason why we use red, orange in the warning lights. Then comes your infrared rays. You can clearly see infrared rays are different from the visible rays. They are not part of the visible rays. Okay. Then you have, after infrared rays, you have radio. Okay. Sorry, you have micro. Okay, here it is missing micro. Then you have radio. Okay. So this is the 7 waves that we have. Okay. Now applications and other things, we can look at it again. We are going to touch it in under science and technology portion. There is, see, the first three till here, gamma rays, x-rays and ultraviolet rays, they are called ionizing because they have higher powers. When they interact with the atoms, they can ionize them, they can make them into ions, and other ones are known as non-ionizing. So we'll discuss about them later. As of now, this much is fine. Next, consider the following statements. It was asked in 2023. The soil in tropical rainforest is rich in nutrients. See, generally soils in tropical forests are poor in nutrients. Why? Two reasons. One is like there is a intense rainfall. Though the climate is good for good decomposition, but there is a rainfall also that will lead to leaching away of them. Okay. Then second statement, look at the second statement. High temperature and moisture of tropical rainfalls caused dead organic matter in the soil to decompose quickly. This is true. There is a quick decomposition of the organic matter by the organism because of high temperature and humidity. But the problem is that decomposed material or this humus or organic matter is being leached, okay, because of good amount of rainfall. So that's the reason why they are poor in nutrients. The topsoil is poor. Topsoil is poor. But if you go little bit below, the subsoil has good amount of nutrition. Okay. So that's the reason why first statement is wrong. So on the basis of it, you can come to D. Then again 2023. Statement 1, the temperature contrast between continents and oceans is greater during the summer than in winter. See, this is related to differential heating of the continents and oceans. Since the specific heat, what is the meaning of specific heat? The amount of energy required to increase the temperature by 1 degree. So this is called specific heat. So the specific heat of land and ocean, if you compare, so land has less specific heat. That means it requires less amount of energy to increase its temperature, whereas water body, like all the oceans are connected, so they require more amount of energy. So as a result of it, they warm up slowly or they cool down slowly, the oceanic bodies compared to the land. This is the phenomena we call it as differential heating of the land and ocean. Okay, this is also causes your land breeze, sea breeze, and sometimes it could also drive the monsoons and other reversal of the winds and all. Okay, now coming to the second statement, the specific heat of water is more than that of the land surface. Of course, this is the reason why this phenomena is happening. So first is also correct, second is also correct, and second is explaining the reason behind the first statement. So that's the reason why both of them are correct, and second is correct explanation for the statement 1. Then consider the following statements. High clouds primarily reflect solar radiation and cool the surface of the earth. Generally, high clouds, they absorb the outgoing earth radiation. You can say the terrestrial radiations is absorbed by the high clouds. So who does the reflecting portion much? It is the low clouds. So they reflect the incoming solar radiation. Actually यहाँ पर उल्टा पलटा दिया है. It should have been given like this. So both of them are wrong. So what is the correct? Neither one nor two. You can see that the eye clouds, they have more absorbing capacity of the outgoing radiation, and they can turn it back. This could lead to greenhouse, global warming and greenhouse effect. Whereas the low clouds, so when incoming solar radiation, short wave is coming, it is getting reflected by it, and only a portion of it reaches to the. They also do the absorbing, but compared to this absorbing, reflection is more. Okay? Now, consider the following statements. In tropical zone, the western section of the oceans are warmer than eastern sections owing to the influence of trade winds. Okay, in the temperate zone, westerlies make the eastern sections of the oceans warmer than the western sections. See, both these statements are right. In the tropical zone, western sections, like Let's say this is the tropical location and this is the western. So here trade winds will be offshore. This is one of the reasons why we have this kind of behavior, and we get what you can say, the deserts formations there. Okay, so in the tropical zones the wind is blowing east to west. As a result of it, the warm waters accumulates in the western sections of the ocean, making it. See, this is one of the reasons when we cover El Nino conditions also. El Nino, there also we study this effect. When these trade winds are stronger, so they push the warm waters towards the coast of Australia and Indonesia from this South America. Okay, you can use that logic also. So first is right. Second, in the temperate zones, westerlies means they will be moving like this. Make eastern section of the oceans warmer than the western sections. See, western and eastern is a perspective. If you look at it, let's say this is the North Atlantic drift, and here you get the British Isles and all. If you look at these sections, because of the influence of North Atlantic drift, they do get warmer. This is the reason why, even though your Britain is in cool temperate locations, but the winters are abnormally mild there, and even the seaports are also kept free of the ice. This is because of this warming effect. So second is also true here. The correct answer is C. Leaf litter decomposes faster than in any other biome. So where does this happen? And as a result, the surface is almost bare. Just now we have covered tropical rainforest. This kind of behavior we have seen. Okay, rainforest. Let's read rest of the things also. Let's not come to the conclusion. Apart from trees, the vegetation is largely composed of plant forms that reach up to the canopy voraciously by climbing the tree or growing as epiphytes. Okay, epiphytes, then we can surely go for rainforest, tropical rainforest. Epiphytes are those orchids which grow on top of the tree branches and all. This generally we see it in the tropical rainforest. So correct answer is tropical rainforest, simple. Okay. Now, the vegetation of savanna consists of grasslands with scattered small trees, but extensive areas have no trees. Okay, the forest development in such areas is generally kept in check by one or more or combination of some conditions. Which of the following? See, these conditions we generally call them as limiting conditions or limiting factors. You can link it with the environment also, limiting factors, which actually inhibit the growth. Okay, so what are the such things? Obviously fire should be there, because whenever savannas are known for like having the fires, bush fires and all, so fire is one of the limiting factor. Okay, if it is controlled it can help, but if it is not controlled it is going to limit. Then seasonal rainfall, soil properties, and burrowing animals and grazing herbivores. So okay, let's try to go with the elimination. Then seasonal rainfalls. See, grazing herbivores is a reason. Okay, you can say because of having more and more herbivores, that will limit the growth of the forests or growth of the grasslands. So 2 and 3 should be there. Burrowing animals and termites is not going to be a limiting factor. Rather, it could help in soil aeration and promote the growth. Okay, and of course soil properties, but savannas you don't get much of the variety of the soils. And seasonal rainfall is one of the reasons. Like savanna, during the rainy season it becomes a lushy green pasture, and during the summer season all of a sudden it turns into like that golden wheat color. Okay, and it loses that lushy look. Okay, so this is because of the seasonal variation in the rainfall. So 2, 3, 4 is the right answer. Next, consider the following statements. It is from the climatology section now. We have been dealing with this. Jet streams occur in the northern hemisphere only. Obviously wrong. Jet streams can occur in northern and southern hemisphere, because we have two permanent jet streams. One is your polar jet stream, then subtropical jet stream. Similarly, the same replicates in the southern hemisphere also if it is the equator. Okay. So this is wrong. Only some cyclones develop ice. This is true. The mainly intensified cyclones. For example, we have two types of cyclones. One is tropical cyclone, another one is temperate cyclone. Tropical cyclones generally they develop the eye if it is intensified. Okay, and it is also in the shape of the elliptical no shape, tropical cyclones generally. But if you look at the temperate cyclones, they have this kind of inverted V shape. It happens because of the occlusion or occluded front. When occluded front is formed, that is when you have the temperate cyclones. In temperate cyclones generally we don't see that eye, well developed eye. Okay, tropical cyclones you can see. In tropical also, in some which are not well intensified, you cannot see the eye. So since some is given, you can take it as correct. Then temperature inside the eye of a cyclone is nearly 10 times less than that of the surroundings. See, even if you apply the basic knowledge of it, like tropical cyclones we are talking. Okay, in tropical cyclones, we have a low pressure at the center and high pressure at the outside. So low pressure is generally associated with high temperature. This is what we have studied, right? So high temperature. Plus, in the center, there is a vertical rising up of the air. That also when it happens, when there is a higher temperature, right, compared to the surroundings. So in the center, that is at the location of the eye, the temperature should be high, not low. But in the statement, it is contradictory saying, let's forget about the number, but look at the, this one, less than that of the surroundings. Generally, it should be more than that of the surroundings. Then only we can have that low pressure at the center. So even if you use that logic, you can say this is wrong. So the correct answer is going to be 2 only. Only one statement is right. Then, why are dewdrops not formed on a cloudy night? So, when there is a cloudy night, the clouds are going to reflect back the Earth's radiation, which is going to warm once again. So, when the warmer conditions are there, dewdrops will not happen because it won't lead to the saturation or dew point won't reach. So, that is the reason why. So, answer is direct. Clouds reflect back Earth's radiation. See, what are the favorable conditions for dewdrop formations? One is you must have long nights. That's the reason why during the winters we see more dew. Okay. Second is it should be devoid of, or it should be, the sky should be clear of clouds. Because if there are clouds, the clouds are going to reflect back that Earth's radiation, and the Earth radiation is going to be trapped. But what we want is temperature inversion, you can say. So the Earth's radiation has to cool off. Okay, for that you should not have clouds. And the other conditions is with respect to the air movements. So calm air should be there. There should not be vertical mixing, so that the cool conditions in the lower levels or lower atmospheres can prevail. That could lead to formation of dewdrops. Okay, so the answer is B here. Next, in the South Atlantic and Southeastern Pacific regions, in tropical latitudes, cyclones does not originate. What is the reason behind it? See, South Atlantic, Southeastern Pacific regions in the tropical latitudes. So tell me, what are the reasons? Sea surface temperatures are low, intertropical convergence seldom occurs, and Coriolis force is too weak. See, this you can remove because tropical location means Coriolis force is good. Absence of land in those areas. See, South Atlantic, since we can see Africa and South America, though the land is less, but you can see even in Eastern, Southeastern Pacific also. And then first option, see, tropical areas means always you have good amount of sea surface temperatures. Okay, so this is also wrong. The only option that is left is ITCZ seldom occurs. Okay, that is low pressure. Okay, where you have trough, low pressure trough, it seldom occurs because of the apparent movement. That is the reason behind it. Okay, next, consider the following statements. The winds which blow between 30° north and 60° south latitudes throughout the year are known as westerlies. See, westerlies 30° north to 60° north and 30° south to 60° south, but not 30. See, this is how we come across westerlies, right? From here to here, like this, in this, and then again here also. Okay, so this is where you come across them. So not the south, it should be N. So one is wrong. Then the moist air masses that cause winter rains in the northern western region of India are part of the westerlies. See, generally winter rain is due to that western margin, western disturbances. Okay, and western disturbances are brought by the tropical jet stream, subtropical jet stream, which we see it, and they are part of the westerlies. Yes, because your subtropical westerly jet stream, it moves from the west to east, and yes, it is part of the westerlies, you can say. So the correct answer is going to be B here. Next, each day is more or less the same. Okay, more or less the same means equatorial locations. Okay, the morning is clear and bright with a sea breezes. The sun climbs high in the sky, heat mounts up, dark clouds form, then rain comes with the thunder and lightning, but the rain is soon over. See, all of it is clearly mentioning the behavior in the equatorial locations. Okay, so all of a sudden there is a torrential rainfall, again it disappears, there is a sun, again there is cloud. So this kind of no variations, we can see it in the equatorial locations only. Next, seasonal reversal of the winds is the typical character of what? Monsoon climate. Okay, so monsoons, this is the reason why we also call it as like no the seasonal reversal of the winds is nothing but monsoons. That's the reason why monsoon climate. Okay, it's a very simple one. इक्वेटोरियल क्लाइमेट नहीं है. मेडिटेरियन क्लाइमेट आपको वहाँ पर वार्म वेस्टर्न मार्जिन्स में मिलता है. ऑल ऑफ द अबोव क्लाइमेट तो नहीं है. नेक्स्ट, विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग इज आर यूनिक कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ इक्वेटोरियल फॉरेस्ट. सो क्या क्या मिलता है? प्रेजेंस ऑफ tall closely set trees with crowns forming continuous canopy. True. थिक कैनोपी होता है, इतना थिक होता है कि लाइक सन इवन कांट पेनेट्रेट. So sunlight is one of the limiting factors in tropical forest, you can say. Coexistence of a large number of species, yes. There is a luxuriant vegetation types, and even biodiversity is also very rich in the equatorial forest. Presence of numerous epiphytes. Just now we have seen epiphytes means the orchids which rise on or which grow on the tree branches. So on this basis, this is true. So all three of them are characteristics of equatorial climate. So answer is going to be all three. Next, the annual range of temperature in the interior of the continents is high as compared to coastal areas. What is the reason or reasons? Annual range of temperatures in the interior of the continents is high as compared to coastal areas. What is the reason behind it? Thermal difference between land and water, obviously correct. This is what we call it as differential heating of land and water. Okay, this could lead to even sea breezes and land breezes. Variation in altitude between continents and oceans. See, altitude variation could not be a reason because altitude variation could lead to orographic rainfall. Okay, but not all the interiors get the rainfall because of altitude. For example, if you look at the Himalayas on the northern side, that is drier location. Okay, not a and it is in the interior location, so it's not a valid point. Presence of strong winds in the interior locations. Okay. But presence of strong winds are there because of the pressure difference, but if the wind is not having a moisture, it is of no use. So it may not be the reason. Heavy rains in the interior as compared to the coastal locations. No, coastal locations are the ones which we get heavy rains, not the interiors. As we go from coast to the interior, what happens to the rainfall? The moisture reduces, so rainfall also reduces. So the correct answer is only 1. Next, climate is extreme, rainfall is scanty, and the people used to be nomadic herders. So extreme climate means and rainfall is scanty, nomadic herders. Nomadic herder means we can remove these American prairies because here extensive agriculture and mechanized agriculture is done. So nomadic herders are less now. Then Siberian tundra can also be removed. Okay, though it is extreme, but rainfall is scanty. But nomadic herders, we do not find it much here, except some of them who herd reindeers in the polar locations. Then African savannas and Asian steppes are there. But since rainfall is scanty, extreme climate is being given. So savannas can be removed because of the continentality. Steppes will have more extreme climate rather than the savannas. And yes, steppes you have nomadic herders like the regions of Mongolia and other locations. You can see many nomadic herders. Nomadic herders can also be seen in savanna, but here the climate is not going to be as extreme as what you see it in Central Asian steppes. In winters, you can see snowfall. In summers, it is going to be very warm. But in case of savannas, both in winters and summers, you can see almost warmer conditions. So it's not that extreme variations. So on this basis, you can say Central Asian steppes is the right answer. These are the locations. Okay, steppe locations. So these are all 30 questions, and with that, we have covered the questions from geomorphology, climatology, and some of the basics related to the solar system and geological time period. I hope it is useful. The only point that we have to do is value addition and learning other things. Why other things, and why, if they have asked in the option means there might be some significance of it, or there might be a reason why they have framed it in the option. So try to look at other things also. We'll continue this series if it is useful. This one particularly, I'm giving it as a you can say homework to you. You solve it. A bit tricky question. You can take the help of internet also. You try to solve it and do let me know. Okay. And if this particular series is useful, do give us a like and subscribe to the channel and share it with fellow aspirants, and do comment to if you want me to continue it. We will be doing it on oceanography and Indian geography, economic geography, and mapping also. Okay. Thank you very much, guys. See you in the next session. All the very best for your preparation.